Hello and welcome back to West Brom Fan TV. Game week predictions, match week 19, and luckily, obviously Christmas is a tough time of the year. I thought it'd be quite charitable, so I've grabbed a Nottingham Forest fan off the street. Charlie Ramshaw is joining us back again. Off on Friday night as Burnley take on Middlesbrough, two of the top teams in the league. In the previous match week, Burnley beat Stoke. Stoke isn't an easy place to go, as many teams know this season, but they seem to be getting the job done under Scott Parker. 4 wins in a row, very impressive. Middlesbrough as well, they've been very impressive. A big 3-1 win against Hull, one of the most entertaining teams in the league in my opinion. One that seemed certainly playoff bound. Not sure about those top two, but certainly in the playoffs, Charlie.
Yeah, the Borough have won 4 in the last 5 as well though.
Yeah.
So that can't, you can't not speak about that. So I feel like a win for either team isn't likely just because of the form is so similar. Obviously, in the Championship, you can't really predict anything anymore. So, but I'm going to go with a draw just simply because I feel like both teams sort of they've both got their positive aspects, and then I feel like that when they clash, I don't think either team can probably go up a win. I'll go 1-1.
I'm going 1-0 Burnley, just because of how resilient they are at home, and also because every game that looks like a banger on Sky coughs up a ball fest. So yeah, stadium like Sunderland taking on Stoke City. Now Sunderland have fell off a little bit lately, bit of a patchy run of form, a lot of draws, and a loss last Friday against Sheffield United, as they lost 1-0, and I'm pretty sure they missed a penalty as well. Yeah, if that's right.
Yeah, they didn't win in all of November as well. No wins for any time on. So
Stoke, on the other hand, lost to Burnley. Obviously, it's a tough test. Saying that, they've kind of gone under the radar. Stoke, they are seeming to progress quite slowly towards the upper mid-table around the playoffs. It's so tight around that area at the minute that anyone seems like with a bit of form they could push in there. But saying that, I think that the doom and gloom will end for Sunderland this week. I think they're going to win 2-0.
Yeah, that's what I've gone with as well. Yeah, I just don't think. I mean, Stoke's manager, I don't know his name, but I feel like he's quite, he plays quite positive football as well. Yeah. But Sunderland, I just feel like they're just going to sort the stuff out. So I feel like 2-0 is probably the right prediction, really.
Yeah. Another 12:30 kick-off is Leeds versus Derby. Obviously, a memorable fixture from that playoff game about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, like 2019.
The whole Spygate thing. So see why they've moved this one to an early kick-off. Saying that, Leeds came across a bit of a speed bump, losing to Blackburn. No one was really expecting that. Blackburn played pretty well in that game, to be fair. It wasn't a fluky win. Derby, on the other hand, losing to Sheffield Wednesday on the Sunday, won't be happy with that. Seem to be on a bit of a bad run of form at the minute, and this is not the game they're going to want at all, especially after Leeds lose. Whenever they lose a game, they seem to come back the next week even more hungrier, and that atmosphere is going to be intimidating. I'm going to go 3-1 Leeds United.
Yeah, I feel Leeds have played some really, Solomon's finally starting to score goals. However you say his name. He's starting. He got a brace a few games ago, didn't he? So I feel like if anyone wants to score, could be him. But I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game because Derby need a result, so I think they're going to try and get something from this game. But I do still think Leeds will win, but I don't think it'll be 1-0.
Yep. Next up, Sheff Wed against Preston North End. Obviously, we touched on that Sheffield Wednesday win in the previous game prediction. A big 2-1 win away at Derby. They seem to be coming onto a decent little run of form at the minute. And, what a time to get Preston North End. They've not been the best lately. Obviously, I watched them last weekend. They just seem to not be able to get a win, really. And, it's not going to be easy for Preston at all, especially going to Hillsborough. It's going to be rocking. The confidence and the feel-good factors slowly coming back. And I want to go 2-0 to Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, obviously, I went to the Sheffield Wednesday West Brom game earlier in the season, and I feel like obviously the result, what was it, 3-2?
3-2 to Sheffield Wednesday.
I still feel like they defended quite well most of the game, and obviously they tend to start games really quickly at home. But Preston, just like Derby, need a result. Paul Heckingbottom's come in. He started really well, and then he's sort of the honeymoon period sort of died down now, and he's not really getting the results he wants. But I put 2-1 down. I feel like that'd be the correct result, just simply because both teams are going to want to get something from this game. Sheffield Wednesday are going to aim for the playoffs, so and Preston are aiming to sort of steer away from the relegation zone. So yeah, 2-1. I feel like both teams will go into that game quite hungry.
Plymouth Argyle, they have been absolutely diabolical. Arguably disgraced their fans, to be honest, for the distance they're travelling. 10 goals conceded in the last 2 games, only 1 goal scored. A 6-1 defeat to Norwich, one of the longest trips of the season for the Green Army, and a 4-0 defeat against Bristol City. Now, obviously a lot of people know how well Plymouth have been playing at home. Seems to be where they've been getting the majority of their points, so lucky for them, they're back. Oxford, on the other hand, have kind of fell off a little bit. They were flying at the start of the season. They're still not in a worrying position, but they are keen to get a win at some point, I guess. Saying that, I think that Oxford aren't the best on the road, just like Plymouth aren't the best on the road, and Plymouth are going to get 3 points here. 2-0 to Plymouth Argyle. 0-0
is the first boring game really I've done for my predictions. The Leeds 1-0, but there's only a point. I'm looking at the table. There's only a point between them, and obviously everyone's saying Plymouth have been really crap and all this, and obviously Oxford. I feel like Oxford, they start the season really well, and obviously I thought they were going to be well clear relegation zone, but at this point, like 11th, 12th place, but they're 17th, they're only a point, they're only 3 points off above Hull as well, obviously in the relegation zone. So, 0-0, I feel like Oxford will go, if Oxford get a draw, I feel they'll be happy with the result, because as long as they keep getting points, they're going to get further away, and obviously a 4-point gap is better than a 3-point gap, so.
Yeah. Next up is again at Fratton Park as Portsmouth taking on Bristol City. Now Portsmouth picked up a big point at the weekend with a entertaining 2-2 draw against Swansea City. Saying that, they're still right down the bottom of the league table. They're scrapping there. They're in a bit of a dogfight. Personally, I don't think they're an abysmal team, but they're just getting quite unfortunate. Bristol City, on the other hand, are sniffing around the playoffs, kind of. They're in that no man's land area, mid-table, where people are just, 1 week you could lose and go all the way down here, the next week you could win and then fly up. Saying that, I think Portsmouth will get something out of this. I want to go for another draw from Portsmouth 0, Bristol City 0.
I think the exact opposite about Portsmouth. I think they're the worst team in the league. They've come in, I don't think Messino is a particularly good manager. I feel like the only reason everyone was shouting about him last season is because Portsmouth had the best team in League One, personally. Obviously, he's changed the dynamic of the team a little bit and the tactics. He's implemented them. He was quite attacking, positive football last season. But they've come in, they've scored. How many goals? They've scored 18 goals. For a newly promoted team, it's not too bad, but it's just.
They can't shut the back door.
Yeah, they're the second worst defence in the league, only behind Plymouth, who have conceded 10 in their last 2. So I can't see them conceding any less than 3. Obviously, Bristol City, patchy form, but they obviously had a really good win last week against Plymouth. So I feel like it'll be another win for them now, 3-1.
Millwall take on Coventry City. Now, Millwall have played exactly like a Millwall team would this season. Scrappy, set-piece merchants, long ball specialists. But saying that, they've got results. They're way away from the relegation zone where people may have expected them to be at the start of the season. And potential for maybe even a playoff push under Neil Harris, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Coventry City, on the other hand, who they're taking on, have been pretty turgid, to be honest. Not the best at all this season. They're hoping that Frank Lampard can take the team to another level. Saying that, Coventry City always tend to start a season slow, but this season it seems to be even slower than usual. And this is a big game for them. It's Frank Lampard's first away game. I think there'll be goals. I'm going to go for Millwall 2, Coventry City 2.
Yeah, I feel Millwall, like the way that they didn't start off, particularly well. They started off, sort of a bit shaky, but I feel like the way they've been recently has been really good. They've obviously got 3 draws in a row, and obviously the worst thing Frank Lampard could do is lose a game, because he's not a particularly good manager. He's not got a particularly good CV. Apart from the clubs he's managed, that his form at each club, it was never really that great. Obviously, apart from the Derby playoff push, he's not really done much. I don't think Coventry will get a win, but I don't think Millwall will win either, because Coventry would, love a draw from this game. 2 points from 2 games is better form than they've had for most of the season, so I don't think they can complain. So I'm going to go 1-1.
Norwich City, who take on Blackburn Rovers at the MKM Stadium. Now things are starting to turn sour on Humberside for the Yorkshire outfit. Very, very disappointing. It's a pretty depressing time. They're taking on Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn picked up a massive win against Leeds at the weekend. No one saw that coming. So they're going to have the tails up slightly. But saying that, I don't think that anyone's going to win this one, really. I'm going to go 1-1 draw.
I feel like the transfer decisions, some of the transfer decisions they made have been horrible. Some of the players they've brought in, for not big money, but they've spent money on them and they've done absolutely nothing. And obviously Liam Rossini is probably one of the best managers they've had in a fair few seasons. And obviously they've got rid of him. I think they'll lose to Blackburn, because Blackburn have been quite well. They've won 3 in a row, so yeah, 2-0.
Luton Town taking on Swansea City. Now, the fairy tale is very much over for Luton Town. There is no Easter Bunny. Father Christmas doesn't exist, and this is the real world. This is the Championship. Getting thumped 4-2 by Norwich last week. Alarm bells are ringing for Rob Edwards and his job. It's really looking like a tough time. Saying that, the one bright spark for Luton is, I guess, they've still been tough at home. The team are taking on Swansea aren't going to be a pushover, saying that. They've been quite a decent side this season. But I don't know, I've just got a feeling that Luton might win this. I'm going to go Luton 2, Swansea 0.
Swansea have been a bit iffy recently. Obviously they were sort of pushing for the playoffs, and then they had a stumble, and then they've sort of got a win here, and they've been unbeaten in 2 games now. Luton need, if any other relegated team from the Premier League came down to the Championship and had the form that they've had, the manager would already be gone. He would have been gone weeks ago. And obviously they've been a bit inconsistent recently, but a 2-1 win is about right.
QPR take on Norwich City. Now QPR have had another quite depressing season. Saying that, the last 2 games have been slightly more rosier for them, picking up a couple of 4 points. A big away win against Cardiff City and a point against very, very tough to beat Watford. I did watch that game at the pub, to be fair, when I was in Preston, and fair to say QPR should have won that game. So it looks like things are turning for QPR. Norwich, on the other hand, they're not going to be a pushover. They've been firing goals in for fun, to be fair. Borja Signs, give that man a drugs test. He has scored a crazy amount of goals this season, and like Middlesbrough, probably arguably those two, the 2 most entertaining teams to watch in the league at the minute. Saying that, I think that the QPR momentum is going to continue, and I'm going for a 3-2 win for QPR. Entertaining.
On the opposite, really. I just feel like Norwich, their form is coming at them just at the right time. There's a few teams in the playoffs, I won't name any, West Brom, they've been a bit iffy recently. Obviously not lost in a while, but you've not win in a while either. But I feel like Norwich, their attacking quality is some of the best in the league. Borja Sign is probably the best winger in the league. QPR, they've not been awful lately, and obviously they do. They do tend to score a goal here and there, and obviously at home, the fans will be, up for it. They've just drawn against one of the best teams in the league, so I feel they won't get anything from the game though. So I'm going to go 3-1 Norwich. Borja Signs probably get 1 or 2, and I feel like they'll be in the top 6 very, very, very soon.
Cardiff City taking on Watford. Now Cardiff not having the best season at all, to be honest. Very wishy-washy really in form. They had a decent spell of games, but that seems to have come to an end recently, especially that defeat to QPR. They're taking on a Watford side, saying that who've been quite poor on the road, so I guess that might work in their favour. But saying that, Watford are right in the playoffs. They're enjoying a relatively decent season. They seem to be really difficult to play at home, and they've got a great striker in Vacuum Bio who seems to be whacking them in, and some exciting young players who are definitely for the future. I'm going to go for Cardiff 1, Watford 2.
I feel like Watford have. When Tom Cleverley was appointed, I didn't think he'd really be any good, but from he ended last season quite well, and obviously he started this season fairly well as well. Watford, I don't think they'll finish in the playoffs, but I do think they'll give it a good go. I don't think Tom Cleverley will be there for seasons to come, and they'll build a statue for him and all that, but I feel like he's going to keep them stable, and obviously they've done better than they've done the past few seasons. But if, however, they've not won in a while, obviously their old manager got sacked. I don't think they'll win either team this game. I've gone 2-2. I feel like it's going to be entertaining.
Albion, West Bromwich Albion taking on Sheffield United on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Now I can't really be bothered with talking about West Brom. You lot are sick to the back teeth of hearing about how boring and how we love a draw. So if you haven't guessed already, I'm predicting a 0-0 draw. I don't want to touch on Sheffield United. They've been decent. They're just a consistent team. They're not a thrilling team, but they get results and they keep clean sheets. So yeah, and that's why they're top of the league.
Go down 1-1, and the whole video I've just been thinking, Sheffield United, without their points deduction, they'd be even further ahead at the top. I want to keep my prediction, but I also want to say that I think Sheffield United might win. But I'm going to stick with my gut. I'll say 1-1, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield United win this game. But I'll stick with 1-1.
Right, thank you all for watching. Bit of a long video this week. Thought we'd treat you. Enjoy the football at the weekend. Have a good time, but enjoy it or being disciplined, as this man says.